I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles and I live on a pair of classic wooden motor cruisers here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with my lovely fiancée Andrea, all the while fixing both boats up for some pretty ambitious cruising. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. We'd love to have you. Well, it is definitely the Christmas season, isn't Zephyrus looking fabulous? And well, we're gonna carry on in the forward head aboard MV Geordie with the vanities that I worked on last week, and at least this week will end with some tung oil. Well, picking up where we left this off last week, or actually yesterday. We got the top on here, that's really great, but there's still lots to do here. For instance, it needs a bottom and at least one shelf. I haven't decided how many shelves go in here, but I think probably just one. I have one great advantage with this particular vanity, and that I'm going to use a bowl sink. The advantage of that, well, there's a couple, but one nice thing is that it doesn't occupy much space down in the actual cabinet, except for the tailstop, which was going to be connected to a hose and won't be much of a concern. Anyway, we also have to cut out some access to the actual freshwater pipes, which, as you might remember, are right behind here. There's a lot of other system stuff. Let's just get this finished and, well, then make another one, although we'll do that on the quick. Alright, well, with the side panel on, I don't really need this front panel anymore to hold it in alignment, and that'll give us a better view as to what we're up to down below. There we go. 'I think I've decided to put two shelves in, one about basically at thirds, because the bottom shelf is going to be next to useless anyway, and if I just put one in the middle, I think that's too big an upper shelf. So yeah, two shelves. Again, crazy angles, but we should be able to figure this out. Okay. I'm actually going to put the shelves over these holes because they don't really make a lot of sense anymore with two shelves. So anyway, transferring everything left to right to here. This one. Five inches off. Well, I'm glad to have found my bevel square. Alright, so I decided to put it back in place to be certain I'm getting everything lined up properly. Get that right on that line. Excellent. Okay, so this shelf is perfect. I'm not going to trim it or install it yet because it'll be the template for a lower one, which hopefully will work just as well. Let me try it down here and see if that lines up just as nicely. Excellent, excellent. So I just need to make another one of these. And here we have an exact copy. Lots of extra material. That will go right there. Nice. And the other one goes right there. Excellent. Alright, and of course we do need one for the bottom. Very, very simple. Okay, 1, 2, and this is 3 right there. Beauty, absolutely beauty, beauty, beauty. Okay, now I'm not going to install them yet because I'm hoping I can use the bulk of these components for templates for this side. Okay, let's get these shelves actually installed. Now, I had mentioned I was going to take this all apart and glue it up, but I've determined that there is plenty of strength for this kind of cabinetry simply with the screws we have going already. So I am not actually going to take anything apart. And I'll tell you why I don't want to glue any of these joints, because just the slightest seepage of glue out will destroy the way the oil sits against it and create a discolored blob, which I don't want. So I think we're going to be just fine the way we are. Only slightly stressful. Now you say, what about here? We need some fasteners here. But this is an exposed surface, and I could drill it and bung it, but with a very, very thin veneer on here, I'm actually just going to put a couple of 23 gauge pins in here. After all, it's already plenty solid. One of my favorite little toys. You'll have all noticed this tiny step here. Well, that is the result of an error, easily remedied with a little strip of mahogany down the front. I actually already have to put one on the leading edge of all the shelves so that when you open the door, you're not looking at the edge of plywood. So just a little more of the same. And here we are, folks. The glue is dry. The edges are nicely sanded. It is time for the incredibly stressful installation of the top. Can you say serious scribing? Okay. Okay, of course this is curved and of course beveled, and I'm not even sure if these two bulkheads are parallel with each other. So I'm going to start basically by just making a piece that fits in between, and I'll just hold it vertically to make sure it's a nice snug fit in here, and that is very close to, yeah, about 35 1/4, somewhere in that range. Obviously I'm going to start a little long. And that will at least establish the length. And then pretty straightforward, I just have to cut a arc out of the back, but that arc is going to be very rough at first because it's going to have to be scribed perhaps several times moving in. So I must make sure I max out against this trim so that as I move in, I don't run out of material. Now I am going to put a nosing, solid wood nosing on the front so I have a little breathing space, but I don't want to get this too wrong, I can tell you. Okay, so my datum is going to be the edge of this trim. And well, there's another very similar piece of trim forward here, but actually from here to here is 21 1/4 of an inch, and from here to here is 21 1/2 of an inch. So there's an 1/8 of an inch difference. Am I going to take that into account? Not at this point. Because there's going to be so much scribing going on. So I'm just going to say I need at least 19 inches. And at this end, I need at least 3 1/4 inches. Okay, as I mentioned, this surface is curved, so I would be brokenhearted if I cut it there because there'd be a gap here. So let's try to establish how much of a curve there is with this straight edge. And it seems to me about 3/8 of an inch. Let's call it half. Yeah, let's call it half an inch. So once I establish that straight line, I will bow out about a half an inch just to get started. Remember, I have at least an inch of extra space out here so I can keep scribing. What were my numbers? A bit of a drip here, which I'm going to have to fix before I can advance in here. Okay, so I'm going to do these cuts on the back side because I want the blade to be ripping up through the good top veneer. But I do have to make sure I get my geometry right. It's going to be from there to here. So it's going to be sort of here to there. I'm going to give myself an extra half inch just because I'm a chicken. And we start with a straight line. And in the middle, I'm going to come out about 1/2 inch. And I'm going to draw this as a straight line for now. But while I'm cutting, I will put some curve in it. Okay. And even though it's just the first cut, let's put the bevel on anyway, just in case I'm close. Now, I can't cut this way because that'll make the bevel the wrong way. So I'm going to have to turn this around and cut this way. I think I'll put a couple of clamps in. Okay, this is most definitely the most stressful cut yet. So I'm cutting outside. Wish me luck. In, time to put another clamp in. Okay then. Let's see how that fits. Okay, let's see if I'm even close. I have to be very careful I don't break any of the veneers off the top of this. Ooh, that just fit. Wow. Okay, hair too long, just a hair. And I have a bit of a bow in this bulkhead. I knew that was going to be a problem. So I'm going to have to take that out. I don't really want to scribe it, but it won't matter really. There we go. That'll come down. It's actually, it's almost perfect. Anyway, it's not low enough yet, but wow, pretty cool. Okay, let's get that out. Take that bow out. Okay, I've had a few iterations of scribes, and I'm getting close. That just sits in there, that's just sitting in there. Now the truth, it doesn't have to be perfect because, again, there'll be a bead of caulk all the way along here, but it's satisfying to doing the best I can. Anyway, so we're pretty good on there. I still need to work on the end here a little bit and right up in this corner. So a little tight there. What I do is just lick and put a spot, and a little tight there, and now I know where to go and sand it. Okay, it's down. It's down. Okay, I am going to say that is close enough for me. I am really, really pleased. Now I got to rip off all the extra I left on the front because I'm going to put a solid sapele nosing on it, which will make it thicker and prettier. But before that, we have to do this one. And I'm wondering if this can actually act as a template. Of course, it bevels in the wrong direction, so that might confound things a bit, but give me at least a rough idea of where this might go over here. Absolutely perfect. Oh my gosh. I am very surprised this has gone as well as it has. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now, yes, now we'll rip the front edges off both sides and we'll get some lovely solid sapele on the front here. Holy! All right. I happened to find some 1-inch sapele in 6-foot lengths at a local hardware store, which is very good because getting solid sapele right now is a bit of a problem. But apparently There's some coming. So I'm gonna make the nosing an inch thick because I like substantial nosing. And what I'm gonna do to make it strong, I'm gonna cut a rabbet out of it so it'll sit up underneath the actual plywood so that I'll be able to screw it. You'll see. Anyway, I need to take off a chunk of this. I've set the ripping guide for a strong inch because I still have to dress this front edge here. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, so now we have to take a rabbet out of roughly 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, but it's metric, so it's not quite. It's some silly number. We can figure it out like this. And in this direction, same deal, except now we have to measure to the outside of the blade. Right about there. See how that looks? Very nice, very nice. Woohoo! Right like that. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. Okay. Okay, I just want one screw as a guide. Now we can get some glue. On there, that spread around nicely, very nice. And there we go. And the next one. Okie dokie. All right, let's tie these up. The top veneer on this plywood is very thin, so you must be very careful as you sand down to that edge. It's tempting to leave a little nub there, but it's nice when it's also perfect. Now the edge detail on Geordie is about a 3/16 softening or a round over and easing, and I try to make all the edges on the boat in the same theme. For instance, on Poem, it's an older boat and the detail is actually a full bullnose, rounded over. And I think it's quite important to try and keep the same sort of look and feel on the whole boat. Anyway, that's looking really, really nice. Okay, let's do the other one. beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Whew. And I didn't cut through the veneer. Oh yes. Well, if you've been watching the show for any time at all, you know what's next. And if you haven't, I use tung oil as the initial finish on absolutely everything I do, inside and outside. I love the way tung oil brings out the richness of the sapelli mahogany, and then I will overcoat with an interior finish. Inside it'll be polyurethane, and on the exterior it's varnish. Now, tung oil is a funny thing. You can buy it just about everywhere, and bottle will say tung oil. If it doesn't cost about $25 for this much, it's not pure tung oil. This I get actually from Lee Valley in Canada. This is pure tung oil. I don't even remember what it costs, but it's expensive, but it's got to be the real thing. So I get it on, mop it on just enough to make sure everything is saturated, then rub it and make sure that it's not leaving any actual streaks. So this is pretty straightforward. It's going to be a bit awkward today as I got to work into all these little voids. Another nice thing about tung oil is that it's sort of a built-in tack rag. By the time I wipe this out, it'll pick up any of the dust that I've left hanging around. Easy peasy. Ish. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, my knees are just grinding. Okay, that's the worst of it. Oh, it's looking pretty nice. Looking pretty nice. In a week or so, that will be the same color as that. That's what the tung oil does. Now, when we got started on this project, you can probably see a bunch of little scratches and stuff in this panel here. And I did mention that it's very easy to put scratches, appearing to be scratches, in the tung oil before you get some varnish on it, some sort of finish on it. But it's very, very easily rectified with a little more tung oil. And they go away completely. Now for the fun part. Okey-dokey. Now, because we're up against the white, I'm going to just pull it out a little bit as I get started here. Oh, lovely, 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 lovely. Again, I'm going to pull it out a little bit to get started. And there we go. I'll let this sit for about an hour and then wipe it down. Okay, start to rub it down. I start with just a little oil on the cloth so that it doesn't start dry. How about a little teaser? Yes, indeed. Right around there. Have a nice tall tap for it as well. Just lovely, just lovely. But I don't have as a toilet, but I have a tip on one. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, hello there, and welcome to Travels with Geordie Beers Week. Is this a bit of a clue? What day is today?
It's your birthday.
Well, wow, thank you very much. This was a complete surprise. This just arrived. Andrea just brought this just a few minutes ago. We were going to have a beer of the week, but instead we're going to have, well, in my case, a London fog, and in your case,
just green tea.
Just green tea. Yeah. I did not expect this opulence for my birthday. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Should I blow them out?
Yeah.
Am I going to do this too?
Yeah.
Can I? Is this something I can open on screen?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You see some tartan theme going on lately? This is beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
I love it.
it's cashmere.
Well, of course it must be because it
Yeah.
feels so lovely.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, that's super nice. That's super nice. We'll wait on this for a second.
Yeah.
Let's just do all the good work and then dive into this, shall we?
Okay.
Okay. Go through a little bit of paperwork. 2 weeks ago, the winner of the Travels with Geordie t-shirt, I had forgotten to give a word, so the word is going to be lock, kind of appropriate. And the winner is Neptunes with a Z71. Neptunes 71. Get a hold of me at swag at Travels with Geordie, and we'll make sure you get your shirt. This week's word of the week is going to be surprised, and I'll tell you why. Wow.
Like that.
It was already surprised before this even happened. It was surprised because I'm surprised how well those vanities turned out. Even I am. I'm just so surprised. But it could have been for this as well, which was a total surprise. I'd like to thank 3 new very kind people who've come aboard as crew members through the YouTube membership system, and they are Cujo G, Martin Mueller, and Mike Lovenmark. Thank you very much to all of you. I really, really appreciate it. And now we're going to, well, let's just cheers. So we've done it right. And dive into some of this.